Alright guys, welcome to lesson 4.2, adding, subtracting, and multiplying polynomials. One of my favorite lessons in chapter 4 because you guys should find it slightly familiar in some aspects of it. It's just you haven't really dealt with cubes in higher exponents as far as this goes. Alright, so let's start off with adding and subtracting polynomials. So there's two methods that you can do it. You can add them vertically and you can add them horizontally. So I'm going to show you both just because some of us like to work different ways. Okay, it wasn't moving. Some of us like to work better, different ways. So I'm going to do this first one, A. I'm going to do that one vertically. So A we're going to do vertically, and B we're going to do horizontally. So remember, vertically is this way, horizontally is that way, just in case we forgot. Alright, so I'm going to do this. I would like for you guys to do this in your notebook because there is some room here. But I don't know that there's a whole lot. But actually, I'm going to come over here for A because I think we can set this up vertically. All right, so how do we do it vertically? I'm going to start off with this first function. So we have 3x cubed plus 2x squared minus x minus 7. All right, and then we're going to take this part. But when we do it vertically, we're basically lining them up underneath each other. So I want to line up like my x cubed with my x cubed, my negative 10x squared with my 2x squared. Now notice there's no x in this one, so I'm just going to put a 0 there to hold the place so I don't make any mistakes later. And then I have a positive 8. So this is vertically, just adding it like you did in elementary school, except for now we have variables. All right, so we're going to go straight down. You can work left to right or right to left because remember, we can only combine terms with the same exponents. So if there is none, there is 1. We have 3x cubed plus 1x cubed, so that gives us 4x cubed. Then we have 2x squared minus 10x squared, so 2 minus 10 gives us negative 8x squared. And then because I'm adding nothing to this, I'm just bringing down the negative x. You don't have to put the 0 there. You could draw a little arrow if you feel that you like that better. Negative 7 plus 8 gives me a positive 1. So there's my answer. This would be my final answer. They have been added together. All right, so this is our vertical method. And put A there just so that we remember we did A vertically. All right, so horizontal, remember horizontal is this way. So I like to use highlighters for the horizontal method, and I like to highlight the similar variables. So for example, my 9y cubed, do I have anything over here that matches it? I do not. Sorry if you hear some noise in the background. I don't know if it's picking up or not. Hopefully not. All right, anyways, moving on. We have y squared and y squared. So we're going to combine those. Okay, so these two both have y squares, so I'm going to combine those together. And then now I have just y's. So those two are the same, so those will be combined together. And then we have our constants. And so then I'm going to highlight them. Now, it is important to keep the sign that is in front of it with it. All right, just like we treated the minus signs and plus signs over here. So yes, we are adding, but we are adding negative numbers as well. So I had nothing. This one's kind of showing up blue on the screen, but it's really green. So I apologize if that looks similar to those. There's nothing to add to this one, so we're just going to bring it down, 9y cubed. Now I have 2/3 y squared and negative 4/3 y squared. I know y'all see fractions and you get scared. It's not that bad. They already have a common denominator. So I'm going to do this off to the side just to remind you. When you have 2/3 minus 4/3, because that one's negative, our denominator stays the same. All right, we got to stop being scared of fractions. 2 minus 4 gives us -2. So that becomes -2/3 y squared. And then I have my -2y, my positive y. Remember, if there is none, there is 1. So I combine those together, I get -y. And then I have +1, -4. That gives me -3. And so then that would be my final answer. So these are your two options. You are able to choose whichever one you like. I prefer this one just because it lines everything up, but in this case I do suggest either you use a highlighter or circles, box, triangle them. I've done that in the past too, just so you don't lose any terms. This one I feel that terms get lost easier in that format. Alright, moving on. So that was adding. Now we're going to talk about subtracting them. Now, here's the thing. Subtracting is very similar because how do we subtract something? We add the opposite. That's what we learned in middle school when we started learning about negative numbers. A negative number is just adding the opposite. So again, they want us to do it vertically and horizontally. So I'm going to make A my vertical one and B the horizontal one. And I did forget to write B up here, so I just added it real quick. Okay, so we're going to set it up vertically like this for part A. All right, let's start with the first one. So we have 2x cubed plus 6x squared minus x plus 1. So we're kind of going to set it up just like we did the previous one. All right, so we're going to match these up with the ones they pair up with. So 8x cubed. So I'm just writing them underneath the ones that are the same. All right, so now, however, in this time instead of adding, we are subtracting, okay? But sometimes we forget to subtract the rest. We'll subtract this first term, forget to subtract the rest. So here is my tip for this if you end up liking this method, is go ahead, turn it into an addition problem, because remember, subtraction is the same as adding the opposite. So we're going to turn this into an addition problem and make all the signs the opposite. So if they were positive, they're now negative. If they were negative, they're now positive. And then we could just simply add. So then it becomes exactly like part A. Okay? So again, the reason I do this is because a lot of times when in the past, when just the subtraction sign is here, we forget to do them later towards the end. All right, so let's add together. We have 2x cubed and negative 8x cubed. So we're looking at 2 minus 8 technically. So we have negative 6x cubed. Then we have 6 and 3. So that becomes 9x squared. And then if there's none, there's 1. So negative 1 plus 2 gives us positive 1. I'm just going to put an x because it's not necessary to write the 1, but if you need the 1 to make you feel comfortable, that's fine. And then 1 minus 9 gives me negative 8. So this is my final answer for part A. So hopefully you guys are thinking, oh, Miss Gill, you know what? You're right. This lesson ain't so bad. Maybe you were. Maybe you weren't. Maybe you're like, Miss Gill, I hate this. All right. Hopefully not, though. Now we're going to subtract. All right, so now we're going to do it horizontally. So this is similar to one of your previous lessons in chapter 3 that we did where we had to rewrite our Sackett binomial. In this case, we have polynomials, which just means it could be 2 or more terms. So I'm going to start off rewriting my first one like this. But now remember, we're subtracting. So we're subtracting this entire thing. So I'm subtracting 2z squared plus 3z. Okay, so just like in chapter 3, I'm going to distribute this negative to both and turn it into an addition problem just to make my life easier. All right, so now I'm just going to write down all the terms that I have. So I did nothing to my first polynomial. Now that becomes a negative, and this one becomes a negative. So now I'm going to go through like I did in example 1, and I'm going to highlight my, I forgot a 2 there. Hopefully y'all saw that. I'm going to highlight my matching terms. So for example, 3z squared matches up with negative 2z squared. Again, whatever sign is in front, you keep that with your problem. All right, then I have plus z and minus 3z. Those are alike. And then I have just one lonely constant, so nothing to combine it with, so it will be all on its own. So let's combine them together. So 3z squared minus 2z squared gives us 1z squared, or just z squared, plus z and negative 3z gives us negative 2z. And then we have minus 4. And we're done. That's our answer. So this is your answer for part B. So we have A over there and B right here. So this one again is vertical. This one is horizontal. I don't mind this method for this one. I don't know. I like both, I guess. They're both easier, but I tend to like the vertical one the best just because you're lining everything up. All right, so now it's your turn. All right, you're going to find the sum or the difference. And yes, I want you to try all 4 in your journal because you have 2 addition ones and 2 subtraction ones. So I want you to pause the video, and I am going to let you choose the method in which you combine them. So I showed you 2 methods, horizontal and vertical. You can choose either one if you want to test out both and see which one's comfortable, which one you like more. That's fine as well. But please pause your video now and give those 4 questions a try. Okay, so I know I said horizontal is my favorite method, but because I don't have a whole lot of space here, I went with the vertical method. Or horizontal. I just so totally said that backwards. My apologies. Anyway, I decided on this one to go with the horizontal method. We'll just keep it at that. All right, so I highlighted my matching terms, and now we're just going to combine them. So hopefully you got 9x squared, and then negative 6, remember that's a 1. So negative 7x and minus 4. So hopefully you got that as your answer. If you did not, please star it so we can talk about it in class. Okay. All right, let's take a look at number 2. So if you did not try number 2 already, please pause your video and give it a try real quick. Okay, so this one had a few more terms and many of them that weren't similar. So I did an example of the box and circle method. If you don't have highlighters handy, you can do that as well. Like box the ones that are like circle ones, make triangles, different things like that. So totally up to you. All right, so I did not have anything to combine with 6z to the 4th. So I'm just going to leave that 6z to the 4th. And then I'm going to combine these two. So 0.5 and negative 4.3. So that gives us negative 3.8 z squared. Oh, but I have this cube here, so let's put that in it because we want it in standard form. We want it in highest degree first and then descending order. So I totally forgot about that guy. So let's put him next. Then we'll do the negative 3.8 z squared. So hopefully you see why I did that, because the 3 is greater than the 2. And then we don't have anything to add with the z, so we're just going to put plus z. And then we have a negative 10 and a negative 10, so that makes negative 20. Okay, so. All right, so the next ones we're subtracting. So if you haven't tried those already, please do so now. Pause the video. If you haven't already, please do it now so you can try it. Give it an actual effort. Yes, I'm talking to you. All right, so remember, because we're subtracting everything in here, we're going to rewrite it as an addition problem. All right, remember, subtracting is the same as adding the opposite. So we're going to change that to a positive, and then we're just going to change all the signs behind the subtraction sign. So now that becomes negative. This one becomes positive. This one becomes negative. If you like to rewrite them, that is perfectly fine as well. So if it makes you feel better to rewrite this as plus and then negative 5t cubed plus 9 4th t squared plus 7, nope, not plus lady, minus 17. All right, so if it makes you feel more comfortable to do it like that, you are certainly welcome to, whatever works best for you. All right, so now hopefully you have decided what terms you need to combine. Okay, So these are all our terms to combine. Now I know you're like, Ms. Gill, you know, last time when you gave us a fraction, it was a nice fraction. Now we have this. Well, in those fancy calculators you guys have, you can add those together. It'll give you a fraction. I do not have a fancy calculator with me, but you guys should also be familiar with these calculators, to where you could just put in -2 and then hit the plus sign. Whoops, -2 plus. Oh my dear Jesus, lady. It's been a long time since I used one of these calculators. All right, so -2 plus, and then if you remember, this button here gives you a fraction. So you can type in 9 fraction 4 and then hit enter and you get 1/4. All right, so that's one option you could do it. Another option is you could turn that -2 into fourths. So we know 2 wholes would be 8/4. So you could think of it as -8/4 plus 9/4, which gives you positive 1/4, because -8 plus 9. I'm just full of little tiny errors today. So either way is fine, calculator or not calculator. All right, so let's combine them. We have even this 1/2 and -5/2. We know that that's going to be 5.5. So if you want to turn it into decimals, I'm totally fine with that too. But because our answer is in fraction form, we're going to leave it in fraction form. So again, we have 1/2 and then minus, so 5 wholes would be the same as how many halves? 10? So now we have 1 minus 10 gives us -9/2. So if you divided 9 by 2, you should get 5.5. All right, that tells you your fraction is right. But again, since this is in fractions, I'm going to leave my answer in fractions. So we're going to have -9/2 t cubed, and then we have plus 1/4 t squared. We have our ln minus t, and then we got 4 and 17. So if we add those together, we get 21, and then that's our answer. All right, so if you struggled at this one because of the fractions, that is okay. This one does not have fractions, so if you did not try this one, please pause your video, try it now. Gives me -8 p to the 5th, and then I have a ln 2p cubed, nothing to combine it with. Then I have a -8p squared and a -12p squared, so it's going to give me -20p squared, because remember, adding two negatives, you keep the negative sign. And then I have a plus p and a plus 7, and so that would be my final answer. So hopefully you didn't find those too challenging. All right, I have an extra credit opportunity for you if you would like it. You are going to complete this and just turn it in after you've watched this video. So do this on a separate sheet of paper and turn it in for some extra credit points on this assignment. All right, I am going to stop the video there, and we are going to pick up a new video with multiplying polynomials.